All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a story that honestly feels like it was ripped straight out of a Hollywood thriller. But believe it or not, it's entirely true. We're looking at a bizarre historical mystery that actually led to a massive scientific revelation. It's this wild tale of loss, a literal medical heist, and the deepest secrets hidden right there in human anatomy. Yeah, we're talking about the brain of the one and only Albert Einstein. How on earth did the physical mind of history's greatest genius become the center of a covert rogue operation? And what did science actually find when they finally, looked inside? Get ready, because the answers are going to fundamentally change how you think about biology, intelligence, and literally the lengths some people will go to in the name of discovery.
So, what actually happened to history's most famous brain? I mean, when a monumental figure like Albert Einstein passes away, you'd probably expect absolute reverence, incredibly tight security, a really strict adherence to procedure. But that is definitely not what happened here. Following his death at Princeton Hospital, the very engine of his genius, his actual brain, just mysteriously vanished. And actually, scratch that, it wasn't just misplaced, it was deliberately taken. This sets the stage for one of the most compelling and, frankly, highly controversial medical heists in modern history. How does something that incredibly valuable just disappear from a sterile, heavily monitored hospital? Well, to figure that out, we need to retrace the exact steps of what went down on that fateful day.
Section 1. Death at Princeton Hospital and the secret theft. Let's get right into it.
So, looking at the timeline, day 1 marks Einstein's passing at Princeton Hospital. Obviously, this was a massive moment of global mourning, but behind closed doors during the post-mortem phase, a deeply secretive action was taking place. The doctor on duty, Dr. Thomas Harvey, was tasked with performing the standard autopsy. But during this routine procedure, Dr. Harvey made a completely unauthorized decision. He removed Einstein's brain. He didn't ask for permission from the hospital brass, and he certainly didn't secure consent from the family right then. He just took it. Shortly after the removal, the brain was covertly transported out of Princeton and spirited away toward Pennsylvania. Just like that, a priceless piece of human history was literally on the run.
The immediate destination following that tense drive through Pennsylvania? Philadelphia. The sheer stealth involved in this whole journey is just staggering, and honestly, it's kind of absurd when you think about it. The biological epicenter of the 20th century's greatest intellect was smuggled out of town like contraband, just riding along in a car. Dr. Harvey successfully navigated his way away from Princeton, keeping this unbelievable cargo completely hidden from authorities and the public eye. Philadelphia became the safe haven where the next phase of this rogue operation would kick off. This wasn't just biological tissue anymore. It was a stolen artifact holding immense scientific potential stashed away in a major American city.
Moving on to Section 2, comparing the geniuses, the investigation.
To actually unlock these secrets, the brain was, as the official historical record puts it, sent to prominent specialists and colleges for research. See, Dr. Harvey knew he couldn't possibly study a scientific treasure of this magnitude all by himself. So what did he do? He meticulously divided Einstein's brain into hundreds of separate little pieces. These individual blocks and slides were then quietly distributed all across the country to various renowned neurologists, experts in prestigious academic colleges. The goal was pretty singular here: uncover the physical secrets of genius. By basically crowdsourcing this stolen biology to top-tier specialists, Harvey set off a massive, decentralized scientific inquiry. They all wanted to know the exact same thing: what made Einstein, well, Einstein.
But the specialists couldn't just look at Einstein's brain in a vacuum, right? They needed a baseline to compare it to. By looking at slices of an average, healthy human brain right alongside the preserved slices of Einstein's, researchers were able to meticulously hunt for any structural anomalies. They were asking questions like, were the lobes shaped differently? Was the overall mass different? They were searching for the literal physical blueprints of extraordinary intelligence, directly comparing your average, everyday mind with one that had literally unraveled the conceptual rules of the universe.
Which brings us to Section 3, the mathematical neurosecrets.
Now, when we talk about neural connections, we're basically talking about the specialized pathways and communication networks inside the brain. And what the specialists discovered in Einstein's case was nothing short of astonishing. His brain wasn't necessarily massive in size, but it was exceptionally unique in how it was wired. They found out that his neural communication networks were hyper-connected. The cells had a noticeably different structure and density compared to a standard human brain. It was almost like the internal communication highways of his mind had all these extra lanes, which allowed information to travel and synthesize in ways an average person's brain just couldn't replicate. The sheer volume and complexity of these connections completely set his biology apart. And here's the really wild part. The specific, highly active neural connections they identified were deeply concentrated in areas of the brain directly linked to extraordinary mathematical and problem-solving abilities. Think about how your own brain processes a tricky math problem. Now imagine those communication highways suddenly having 10 extra lanes open for traffic. This was the architecture of mathematics literally built right into his head. This unique neural structure was the physical foundation for his capacity to conceptualize incredibly complex physics and mathematical theories. The researchers essentially found the biological hardware that ran the software of relativity. It proved his mathematical prowess wasn't just some abstract thought. It had a tangible, structural root in these hyperconnected neural pathways.
Of course, an unauthorized study of this magnitude naturally brought some pretty severe consequences. You can't just take something like that without causing a stir. Government inquiries were immediately launched, with officials heavily questioning the legality and the ethics of the theft. On top of that, a massive controversy erupted over the highly secretive nature of the whole operation and the very real fears about the potential marketization of Einstein's remains. The scientific community and the general public were totally split. People were deeply divided over whether this was a necessary, bold leap for human advancement or just a gross violation of medical boundaries and personal rights. Unlocking these incredible neurosecrets definitely came at a very steep and highly controversial price.
All of which brings us to the ultimate question I want to leave you with today. Is genius born in our biology, or is it made through our actions? As we've seen throughout this explainer, Einstein's physical brain absolutely possessed hyper-connected, mathematically optimized neural pathways. The biological evidence for that is undeniable. But here's the catch. Did that hardware guarantee the genius? Or did Einstein's relentless curiosity, his endless thought experiments, and his lifelong dedication to physics actually build and utilize those networks? Was his extraordinary mind a product of the stolen anatomy? Or was the anatomy shaped by the man himself? It is a truly fascinating mystery to ponder. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, keep questioning everything.